Hello, and welcome back to the Sleep Lab. Tonight is a little different from our usual journey. Instead of moving slowly through 13 deep, unhurried facts, we're going to drift through 100 smaller ones, each a tiny, glimmering piece of the universe's own quiet mystery, offered gently, one after another, like stars appearing softly across a darkening sky. You don't need to remember any of them. You don't need to hold on to a single number or name. Just let each one arrive, settle for a moment in your mind, and drift onward into the next, the way your own thoughts are already beginning to loosen and drift tonight. The universe keeps a great many secrets, not because it means to hide them from us, but simply because it is so vast, so old, and so quiet that most of its truths have never had the chance to reach anyone at all, until now, until you, lying here, letting them finally arrive. There is no test at the end of tonight's episode, no list to recall in the morning, only the soft, cumulative feeling of having briefly, gently touched something enormous before letting your own eyes close. If this kind of journey is worth your time, a like, a subscribe, or a thought left below helps this small lab keep its lights on for other sleepy minds finding their way here. But for now, there is nothing you need to do except settle in, let your body grow heavy, and let 100 quiet secrets drift gently over you instead. Let's begin. 1. The universe is not silent, not entirely. In places where enough matter still lingers, sound waves ripple through as pressure changes, waves so vast and slow that no human ear could ever catch them directly. Only patient instruments, built specifically to listen where we cannot, have ever translated the deep, ancient murmur into something we could finally hear. 2. Every atom of iron currently moving quietly through your blood was forged inside the blazing core of a star that lived, and eventually died, long before our own solar system ever began to take shape. That star's final moments scattered its own substance across space, drifting for eons before finally, quietly becoming part of you. 3. There are more possible arrangements of a simple, ordinary card deck than there are atoms on the entire planet Earth. Shuffle a deck thoroughly, and you are likely holding an order that has never existed before and will never exist again. And even that staggering number is dwarfed considerably by the true, almost unspeakable scale of the universe itself. 4. Space is not empty, not truly. Even the emptiest reaches between galaxies still carry faint traces of hydrogen, drifting matter, and delicate threads of magnetism. They are too weak to ever feel directly, and yet too real, too physically present, for careful science to simply ignore. 5. The light from the nearest large galaxy, Andromeda, left its source before humans had built their first cities. It has traveled quietly, patiently, for more than 2 million years, and is only now, tonight, finally completing its long journey toward your own waiting eyes. 6. Somewhere in the universe, at this very moment, a new star is quietly being born. It condenses slowly from a cold, dark cloud of gas that has waited patiently for untold millions of years, gravity gathering it gently inward until, eventually, ignition, and a new light joins the sky. 7. Black holes do not suck, not in the dramatic way popular imagination often suggests. They simply hold their own gravity closely, the very same as any ordinary star of equal mass, only compressed into something impossibly smaller. Stray too close to their boundary, and gravity becomes inescapable, but stand a comfortable distance away, and you would orbit one exactly as calmly as you would any ordinary star. 8. The universe has no true center that anyone has ever managed to find. Every single point within it can, in its own strange and gentle way, feel like the very middle of everything at once. Wherever you happen to stand and look outward, the galaxies appear to recede from you in every direction equally. 9. A single teaspoon of matter drawn from a neutron star would weigh roughly as much as an entire mountain here on Earth. It is a density almost impossible for the mind to properly hold, matter so tightly packed that a sugar cube-sized piece would outweigh anything you could ever lift. 10. Saturn's beautiful rings are made of countless small pieces of ice and rock, some no larger than a single grain of sand, others as large and solid as an entire house. They orbit together in a thin, glittering disk, shepherded gently into place by the quiet gravity of nearby moons. 11. The Sun quietly loses roughly 4 million tons of its own mass every single second, converted patiently into the very same warm, golden light now settling gently over your evening. And even losing that much every second, the Sun holds so much mass that it will continue shining for billions of years still to come. 12. Somewhere in the depths of space, there exists a planet, if you could even call it that, made largely of crystallized carbon, essentially diamond. It orbits the collapsed, dim remains of a once brilliant star, a quiet, glittering relic circling the ember of what it used to orbit as an ordinary world. 13. Time itself moves slightly slower the closer you happen to be to a strong source of gravity. It is a genuinely strange fact, confirmed through careful experiments using atomic clocks flown gently aboard ordinary airplanes, each clock returning home having ticked forward by a tiny, measurable fraction less than an identical clock left behind. 14. The Milky Way and Andromeda are slowly, patiently approaching one another, destined to merge together several billion years from now. And yet they will do so gradually, and space between individual stars is so vast that not a single star inside either galaxy is actually expected to collide. 15. Jupiter's Great Red Spot is a storm considerably larger than the entire planet Earth. Remarkably, it has been swirling steadily for at least several hundred years, a hurricane without any land to weaken it, spinning patiently in the same enormous, endless sky. 16. Certain neutron stars can spin many hundreds of times every single second, faster than any kitchen blender you have ever owned. All while remaining perfectly, impossibly dense and coherent, a spinning lighthouse of radiation sweeping quietly across the darkness of space. 17. The observable universe stretches roughly 93 billion light-years across from end to end. And even that staggering span may represent only a small, modest corner of something considerably larger still, a universe whose true, total size may forever remain just beyond what any telescope could ever hope to see. 18. A single day on Venus is actually longer than its entire year. The planet spins so remarkably slowly upon its own axis that it completes an entire orbit around the Sun before it ever finishes turning once upon itself. 19. Most of the universe's ordinary matter is not actually found neatly inside stars or galaxies at all, but instead spread thin and quiet across the vast space lying between them. It drifts largely unseen, a faint, warm haze connecting every bright island of stars to every other. 20. The largest known star ever discovered, if it were placed exactly where our own Sun currently sits, would comfortably swallow every planet out past Saturn's own distant orbit. Its outer surface would extend so far outward that Jupiter itself would orbit somewhere deep within its own glowing body. 21. Comets are sometimes affectionately called dirty snowballs, ancient mixtures of ice, dust, and rock left quietly over from the very earliest beginnings of our solar system's formation. Each time one passes near the Sun, a little of its ancient ice slowly boils away, trailing the glowing tail we so often admire from Earth. 22. A single bolt of lightning striking through Jupiter's thick atmosphere can be 1,000 times more powerful than anything ever recorded here on Earth's own stormy skies. The storms there stretch far larger than our own planet, and their lightning flickers deep within clouds no human eye has ever directly seen. 23. The universe is expanding gently in every single direction at once, meaning nearly every galaxy is quietly, continuously drifting farther away from every other galaxy, all the time, without pause. It is not that galaxies are racing away through space, but that space itself is patiently, steadily stretching beneath them. 24. Some stars burn so faintly and so coolly that they emit considerably more heat than visible light, remaining entirely invisible to ordinary telescopes searching only for brightness. Astronomers must instead search for their gentle warmth, glowing quietly in wavelengths human eyes were never built to see. 25. If you could somehow fold an ordinary piece of paper 50 times over, its resulting thickness would stretch far beyond the actual distance to the Sun. It is a small, gentle reminder of how quickly exponential growth escapes our everyday intuition, hidden inside something as simple as a single, ordinary sheet of paper. 26. Mars is home to the tallest known mountain anywhere in the entire solar system, a colossal volcano standing nearly 3 times taller than Mount Everest itself. It grew so large partly because Mars, unlike Earth, has no shifting tectonic plates to ever carry its volcanoes away from their rising source of heat. 27. Space itself carries a genuine, measurable temperature, a faint, ancient afterglow left quietly over from the earliest moments of the universe. It surrounds us softly in every single direction we look, the oldest light in existence, cooled now to barely above absolute zero. 28. A single year on distant Neptune lasts roughly 165 Earth years. The planet has completed barely more than one full orbit since astronomers first discovered it in 1846, meaning Neptune has not yet seen its own second full birthday since we first learned it existed. 29. There are more stars scattered throughout the observable universe than there are grains of sand resting on every beach and every desert across the entire surface of Earth combined. And each one of those countless stars may carry its own quiet family of orbiting worlds. 30. Some galaxies contain almost no visible matter at all, held gently together instead almost entirely by dark matter's quiet, invisible pull. They drift through space as ghostly, nearly starless shapes, revealed only by the way their hidden gravity bends the light of everything around them. 31. The footprints astronauts once left softly upon the moon's surface are expected to remain entirely undisturbed for millions of years. There is no wind there at all, no rain, nothing to ever gently erase them, meaning humanity's quietest, gentlest mark may outlast nearly everything else we have ever built. 32. A black hole's event horizon is not truly a wall or any kind of physical surface at all. It is simply the quiet, invisible boundary past which even light itself can no longer find its way back out, a line drawn not in matter, but in pure, patient mathematics. 33. Uranus rotates gently on its side, tipped almost entirely sideways compared to every other planet in our solar system. Astronomers believe this strange tilt is likely the lingering result of some ancient, enormous collision, a single violent moment still quietly shaping the planet's slow spin billions of years later. 34. The universe is thought to be roughly 13.8 billion years old. This careful figure was pieced together patiently from the faint, ancient light still arriving from its very oldest visible corners, light that has been quietly traveling toward us since almost the very beginning of everything. 35. A single teaspoon drawn from the sun's blazing core would release enough contained energy, if somehow removed and gradually cooled, to remain genuinely dangerous from many miles away. It is a small, humbling reminder of just how much quiet, contained power sits at the heart of our own daylight. 36. Certain distant exoplanets are believed to rain blast sideways, propelled by winds so powerful they carry molten silicate droplets nearly parallel to the alien ground below. It is a rain no umbrella could ever hope to survive, glittering and utterly lethal, sweeping endlessly across a world entirely unlike our own. 37. Our own galaxy is estimated to hold somewhere between 100 billion and 400 billion stars. And we are only one small, quiet light glowing gently among them all, an ordinary star orbiting an ordinary arm of a galaxy vast beyond easy imagining. 38. The coldest known place anywhere in the universe was actually created briefly right here on Earth, inside a careful laboratory. It reached a temperature colder even than the deepest, darkest reaches of space itself, proving, gently, that human curiosity can sometimes outdo the cosmos at its own quiet extremes. 39. Pluto's largest moon, Charon, is so proportionally large compared to Pluto itself that the two worlds orbit a shared point of balance resting entirely outside Pluto's own surface. They spin together through space like two dancers, neither one ever quite the sole center of the other's turning. 40. Galaxies arrive in a genuine range of graceful shapes, spirals, ellipticals, and looser irregular forms. Each one is slowly, patiently shaped by its own particular history of ancient mergers and quiet motion, a portrait painted gradually across billions of unhurried years. 41. A person standing on the surface of Mars would weigh roughly a third of what they weigh here on Earth. Thanks entirely to the red planet's gentler, softer gravity, even the heaviest steps there would feel remarkably, almost dreamily light. 42. The very first stars to ever ignite within the young universe were likely far larger and far brighter than any star burning quietly today. They lived remarkably fast and died remarkably young, seeding the early cosmos with the very first heavier elements it had ever known. 43. Space itself carries no true up or down, no genuine horizon at all. Astronauts consistently describe this absence as deeply disorienting the very first time they experience it directly, a floating world with no floor and no ceiling, only endless, quiet openness in every direction. 44. Some asteroids quietly carry their own tiny moons, smaller rocks caught gently and permanently within a larger rock's modest, patient gravitational pull. Even out among the smallest wanderers of the solar system, gravity still finds quiet, careful ways to keep company. 45. The Sun alone accounts for more than 99% of all the total mass contained within our entire solar system. Every planet, moon, asteroid, and comet combined makes up only the smallest, quietest remainder circling patiently around that single, dominant center. 46. A black hole can, in theory, exist at nearly any size at all, provided enough mass happens to be compressed into a correspondingly small enough space to match. Some are barely larger than a city, while others could comfortably swallow an entire solar system whole. 47. Light takes roughly 8 minutes to travel patiently from the Sun all the way to Earth. The warm sunlight touching your skin today had already left its source before you ever noticed it arriving, a gentle, quiet delay woven into every single sunny afternoon you have ever known. 48. The Andromeda galaxy remains visible to the ordinary, naked eye on a sufficiently clear, dark night. It is the most distant single object most people will ever see entirely unaided, a faint smudge of light representing an entire galaxy, quietly waiting in the dark for anyone who simply looks up. 49. Some stars pulse rhythmically, gently brightening and dimming on a precise, entirely predictable schedule. Astronomers have carefully used this quiet, steady pulsing to measure the true, staggering scale of the universe itself, turning a star's gentle heartbeat into a genuine cosmic measuring tape. 50. We have reached the halfway point already. The universe does not need you to fully understand it in order to keep quietly, patiently existing exactly as it always has, content simply to be, whether or not anyone is there to notice. 51. Titan, Saturn's largest and most fascinating moon, holds genuine lakes and rivers, though not of water. They are filled instead with liquid methane and ethane, flowing gently and quietly across a frozen, orange-tinted landscape entirely unlike anything found on Earth. 52. A person could not survive unprotected in the vacuum of space for more than about 15 seconds of useful, conscious awareness. And yet, contrary to popular imagination, the body would not immediately freeze, since space itself, being nearly empty, has almost nothing there to actually pull the warmth away quickly. 53. The Milky Way is what astronomers call barred, meaning it carries a long, straight structure of stars stretching directly through its center. Rather than forming a simple, uniform spiral, our galaxy's heart holds a graceful, elongated bridge of stars, quietly anchoring its curling arms. 54. Some galaxies behave like quiet cannibals, gradually consuming their smaller neighboring galaxies through gravity's patient, unhurried pull. Across hundreds of millions of slow, unfolding years, an entire smaller galaxy can be gently pulled apart and absorbed, its stars simply becoming part of something larger. 55. The universe's expansion appears to be genuinely accelerating, driven by something researchers simply, honestly call dark energy. It is a name given more to a mystery than to any fully solved explanation, a quiet reminder that even our best science still holds real, honest gaps. 56. A neutron star's surface gravity is so extraordinarily strong that dropping an ordinary object from just 1 single meter would cause it to strike the ground at millions of miles per hour. Even the gentlest fall there would end with unimaginable, silent violence. 57. Mercury holds no meaningful atmosphere at all, meaning its sunlit side can reach temperatures hot enough to melt lead. Meanwhile its opposite, shadowed side drops far below freezing in that very same hour, a world of two extremes existing side by side, forever unmixed. 58. Some scientists genuinely believe there may be more potentially habitable moons than habitable planets within our own solar system. Particularly among the icy, hidden oceans quietly suspected beneath the frozen surfaces of Jupiter and Saturn's own distant moons. 59. The Very Large Array, an enormous set of radio telescopes resting in the New Mexico desert, can actually be physically reconfigured. Its massive dishes are gently moved along tracks to change its resulting power, a listening instrument that can quietly, deliberately reshape its own vast ear toward the sky. 60. A black hole's singularity, its theoretical, innermost center, is a place where our current physics simply, honestly stops offering any reliable answers at all. It remains an honest edge to human knowledge itself, a place where even the finest equations gently, quietly fall silent. 61. The universe contains far more empty space than matter, with even the densest, most crowded galaxies still mostly composed of vast, quiet gaps stretching between their own individual stars. Abundance, out there, is measured mostly in distance rather than in things. 62. Saturn is actually less dense than ordinary water, meaning, in a sufficiently large ocean, the entire massive planet would genuinely float. It is a strange, quiet image, an entire ringed world bobbing softly upon some impossibly enormous sea. 63. A single supernova can briefly outshine an entire galaxy, one dying star momentarily rivaling the combined light of billions upon billions of ordinary, steadily burning others. And then, just as suddenly, it fades again, leaving behind only a quiet, glowing remnant. 64. The moon is very slowly, patiently drifting away from Earth, moving at roughly the same gentle pace a fingernail grows, each and every quiet year. Millions of years from now, it will hang noticeably smaller and dimmer in our night sky than it does tonight. 65. Some distant exoplanets orbit two suns at once, casting soft, double shadows gently across their own strange, alien landscapes below. Their skies would hold two dawns and two sunsets, woven together into a single, unfamiliar rhythm of light. 66. Voyager 1, launched all the way back in 1977, has now traveled farther from Earth than any other human-made object ever built. It continues, even now, quietly sending its faint data home, a small, patient traveler still whispering back to us from the edge of everything we know. 67. The largest known structure in the entire universe is a vast filament of connected galaxies stretching so far across space. Light itself would take billions of years just to cross it entirely, a structure so enormous that calling it merely large barely begins to describe it. 68. A black hole does not have a true surface in the way an ordinary planet does. It carries only the careful, mathematical boundary marked by its quiet, invisible event horizon, a line rather than a floor, drawn gently through empty space. 69. Stars are not actually the gently twinkling points of light they appear to be from Earth. Their apparent shimmer comes entirely from our own atmosphere bending their steady light as it travels down toward us, meaning the stars themselves burn calm and constant, and it is only our own sky that trembles. 70. Some regions of space are so genuinely empty, so nearly free of any matter at all, that they rank among the best natural vacuums known anywhere. Better even than anything achievable inside an earthly laboratory, a stillness so complete it borders on the truly absolute. 71. The Great Wall, an enormous filament of connected galaxies, spans hundreds of millions of light-years across. It dwarfs nearly everything else considered structurally significant within the observable cosmos, a quiet, cosmic thread stretched impossibly far across the dark. 72. Jupiter carries the shortest day of any planet in our entire solar system, completing one full rotation in under 10 hours. Despite its own truly enormous size, it spins faster than any of its smaller planetary neighbors, a giant turning with surprising, quiet speed. 73. Some brown dwarfs, objects sitting somewhere between a star and a planet, are so genuinely cool that liquid water clouds may actually form quietly within their own strange atmospheres. They are stars that never quite manage to fully ignite, drifting instead in a gentle, permanent twilight. 74. The universe's very first light, released roughly 380,000 years after the Big Bang itself, still gently surrounds us today as the faint, ancient cosmic microwave background. It is the oldest picture ever taken of anything, a portrait of the universe in its own quiet infancy. 75. A person's body would very briefly appear to freeze in place if they fell toward a black hole, from a distant observer's own perspective. And yet the falling person themselves would notice nothing unusual at all, two entirely different, equally true stories unfolding from the very same quiet moment. 76. Some stars end their long, quiet lives gently, simply cooling slowly into a dense, dim ember called a white dwarf. Rather than exploding dramatically outward, they simply, softly fade, glowing faintly for billions of years more before finally, entirely going dark. 77. The Kuiper Belt, resting quietly beyond Neptune's own distant orbit, holds countless icy bodies, including Pluto itself. They are gentle remnants left over from the solar system's earliest, most formative days, a frozen archive of everything our own planetary family once began as. 78. Gravitational waves, genuine ripples rippling through the very fabric of spacetime, were only directly detected for the very first time in 2015. This came nearly a full century after Einstein first, quietly predicted them, a patient confirmation finally arriving generations after the original, careful idea. 79. A black hole can, in theory, gently, harmlessly host stable orbits, exactly the way any other massive object comfortably does. Provided you remain safely outside its quiet event horizon, you could circle one calmly, endlessly, the same way Earth calmly circles the Sun. 80. Some galaxies collide and merge so gently, across such vast distances separating their individual stars, that few if any stars within them ever actually strike one another directly. Two entire galaxies can pass quietly through one another, reshaping each other completely without a single direct collision. 81. The universe's darkest secret may simply be its own staggering scale, so vast that human language genuinely struggles to offer any single word large enough to hold it comfortably. We borrow numbers, comparisons, and metaphors, and still, quietly, fall short. 82. A day on Earth was actually several hours shorter hundreds of millions of years ago. This gentle fact was confirmed through the careful growth rings preserved within ancient, fossilized coral, tiny daily records left quietly behind by creatures that lived long before anything resembling us. 83. Some stars travel silently through space at hundreds of miles every single second, flung outward by the violent gravitational chaos of a nearby supernova long ago. They wander now, alone, carrying the memory of that ancient, sudden push forever within their quiet trajectory. 84. The largest deserts anywhere in the solar system are not found on Earth or even Mars. They spread quietly across the enormous, dry dune fields covering Titan's frozen surface, an alien desert cold enough to freeze the very air we breathe. 85. Quasars, the blazing, brilliant cores of distant active galaxies, can outshine every single star within their own galaxy combined. They are powered entirely by a supermassive black hole quietly feeding at their center, turning falling matter into some of the brightest light in the entire universe. 86. A person floating gently in deep space, far from any nearby star, would experience true, complete darkness. It would be unlike anything genuinely achievable anywhere across Earth's own softly lit surface, a darkness with no gentle glow of a distant city or moon to soften it. 87. The universe's expansion means some galaxies are receding from us faster than light itself travels. This happens not by moving through space directly, but because the space lying between us is quietly, continuously stretching, carrying them gently, inexorably away. 88. Some meteor showers occur simply when Earth passes gently through the leftover debris trail of a comet that once traveled through that same region long, long ago. Each falling streak of light is a tiny, ancient piece of a much older, quieter journey. 89. A black hole's true mass can actually be calculated indirectly, simply by carefully observing how strongly it bends the light of anything happening to pass nearby. Astronomers read gravity itself the way one might read a signature, without ever needing to see the object directly. 90. The universe contains galaxies so genuinely distant that their light left home before Earth itself had even finally finished forming. Looking at them tonight means looking, quietly, into a time before our own planet properly existed at all. 91. Some planets, gently called rogue planets, drift entirely alone through the vastness of space, untethered to any star at all. Their quiet skies remain forever, permanently dark, with no sun ever rising to warm their long, wandering journey. 92. The largest volcano anywhere in the solar system, resting quietly on Mars, is so remarkably wide that its base alone could comfortably cover the entire state of Arizona. It rises gently, patiently, over a landscape that has had all the time in the world to simply let it grow. 93. Space itself carries a faint scent, according to astronauts who have carefully handled equipment after a spacewalk. It is described gently as something like seared steak and warm, hot metal, a residue clinging briefly to their suits, the only trace most of us will ever get to imagine of space's own quiet smell. 94. A black hole cannot ever be seen directly, only carefully inferred through its gentle effect on the light, gas, and stars that happen to orbit quietly nearby. Its presence is written entirely in the motion of everything gathered gently around it. 95. The universe's ultimate fate remains genuinely undecided among physicists even today. Several competing, still actively debated theories exist about how, or even whether, it might ever truly end, each one offering its own quiet, careful vision of a distant, unwritten future. 96. Some stars are gently born in pairs, locked together in a slow, graceful orbit around one another for their entire, quietly shared lifetime. They rise and set together across countless worlds, forever bound in the same soft, patient dance. 97. The Hubble Space Telescope has been softly, patiently orbiting Earth since 1990, quietly gathering starlight far older than most of the very people who first, carefully launched it. It remains, even now, a faithful, tireless eye turned outward into the dark. 98. A single galaxy can quietly contain more individual planets than there are people who have ever lived across the entire, long span of human history. Somewhere among them, countless worlds have never once been seen by any eye at all. 99. The universe does not actually need an observer to keep quietly existing, and yet, tonight, gently, softly, you happen to be one anyway. For this brief, quiet moment, some small corner of the cosmos is genuinely, gently being noticed. 100. And that may be the softest secret of them all, that somewhere within this unimaginably vast, ancient, and darkened universe, one small, warm mind, yours, tonight, quietly took the time to wonder about it, gently, before finally, softly drifting off to sleep. We have reached the end of tonight's 100 small secrets, each one a tiny point of light gathered quietly from the vast, ancient dark surrounding us. None of them ever needed to be remembered. They were only ever meant to be felt, one after another, the way stars are felt rather than carefully counted on a truly dark, clear night. We touched black holes and drifting moons, ancient starlight and rogue planets wandering alone, quasars blazing brighter than entire galaxies, and neutron stars spinning faster than anything should reasonably be able to spin at all. We remembered that the universe is not truly silent, not entirely empty, and not, despite its vast, cold distances, ever entirely without its own quiet, patient warmth. There is something genuinely worth carrying gently from an exercise like tonight's, a reminder that wonder does not require depth to be real, that even the smallest, briefest fact, offered gently and allowed to simply pass through your mind without needing to be held onto, can still leave behind a small, lasting trace of genuine awe. If tonight's 100 secrets were worth your time, a like, a subscribe, or a thought left below helps the Sleep Lab stay open for the next curious, sleepy mind who finds their way here. And if you're still awake, there's another story waiting just beyond this one, whenever you're ready for it. But for now, let these 100 small lights settle quietly around you, the way stars settle gently into a darkening sky, one by one, without hurry, without effort, exactly as they're meant to. Let your body grow heavy. Let your breathing slow. Sleep well. And good night.